Hello, YouTube. Jitsumi Gogan Yamaguchi, also known as Gogan Yamaguchi, was a Japanese martial artist and a student of Goju-ryu karate. Goju-ryu, which means hard, soft style in Japanese, is one of the main traditional Okinawan karate styles, characterized by a combination of hard and soft techniques. The roots of the Okinawa Goju-ryu style begin in southern China. It is still not known exactly which style formed the basis of Goju-ryu. Experts and historians of martial arts tend to believe that the basis of Goju-ryu included several South Chinese schools. Gogan Yamaguchi was one of the most famous karate masters from Japan, and he founded the International Karate-Do Association Gojukai. Karate master Gogan Yamaguchi in Japan was called Cat and Rude Yamaguchi. The famous Sansai was distinguished by extremely anti-communist views. The fact is that at the end of the Second World War, Yamaguchi was captured by the Soviets. The karate practitioner told incredible things about his stay in the USSR. Gogan Yamaguchi was born in 1909. He was a native of Kagoshima Prefecture in the south of Japanese island of Kyushu. As a child, Yamaguchi studied word fencing at the Kirino Doshaki School, and in 1922 he met the first karate teacher, his first one, Takeo Maruto, who was a carpenter from Okinawa. While in the late 1920s, Yamaguchi, a law student, became the head of the karate club at the Ritsumeikan University in Kyoto. During this period, he often participated in street gang fights. The chaotic ones were not satisfied with the training methods of Gogan Yamaguchi, so at the age of 20, he enrolled as the apprentice to the master of the Goju-ryu style, Miyagi Tejun. Between 1935 and 1937, Gogan Yamaguchi studied the art of karate-do in his homeland, on the island of Okinawa. The master called his style primitive. It meant a fight without any conventions, not for life, but to the death. Yamaguchi made a great contribution to the development of the Goju-ryu style and karate in general, or karate in general. For example, he achieved the opening of a karate section at the Society of Military Virtue of Great Japan, which united adherents of various martial arts. The Tsukumite method, developed by Yamaguchi, formed the basis of various versions of sports karate. In 1950, Yamaguchi opened Goju-ryu Association with branches in various cities, and in 1964, with the participation of Yamaguchi, the All Japanese Karate Federation emerged, uniting all schools of this martial arts. On the tatami, Yamaguchi most loved the cat stance of Nekoashi Dachi, which is why he got his nickname, the cat. And he actively worked with his elbows and legs, honing blows to monstrous strength and speed. Yamaguchi especially appreciated the performance of some kata, formal complexes, claiming that with their help it is possible to obtain supernatural abilities. Given the master's commitment to the Shinto religion and his regular meditations in the Kurama Mountains, it can be assumed that this type of karate resembled a kind of occult practice. Until a very old age, Gogan Yamaguchi steadfastly withstood blows to the body and the head. The Sansai lived to be 80 years old. Gogan Yamaguchi actively cooperated with the Japanese state, so the Tokyo police used him as a live lie detector. The cat could catch a liar by his voice, demeanor, and facial expression, and in 1939 the government of the Imperial Japan sent the karate expert to the occupied lands of China. To me, this is very interesting personally, because my grandfather also served in the Far East in the late 1930s, and he fought in the Red Army against the Japanese Imperial forces at the Halkyn Gol. And in the World War II, my grandfather was a frontline reconnaissance officer, going behind the enemy lines to snatch Nazi military and bring them back. So he was not a karate expert, but he knew how to use a knife and a few other tricks. And was a well-practiced and well-known military officer from the reconnaissance unit. Anyway, back to Japan. Some sources call Yamaguchi one of the leaders of Japanese intelligence in Manchuria. His task was to separate the guerrilla movements of the Chinese, Koreans, and Manchus. Masquerading as a local resident, the sensei personally carried out operational tasks. Once, for example, in the area of the bridge over the Nengjian River, a tributary of the Sungari, the river I often mention in my other videos, Yamaguchi came across what were alleged to be communist spies, and he stopped them to ask questions. One of the interlocutors started to put out a gun, but the karate practitioner knocked him out with a kick. The second spy, who tried to attack with a knife, was struck by the Japanese with the edge of his palm, so he lost his consciousness. In August of 1945, the Soviet Red Army troops entered Manchuria. Japan's defeat in the war was a huge tragedy for Gogan Yamaguchi, while he himself was captured during the defeat of the Kwantung Army. Initially, Yamaguchi was kept in a solitary confinement by the NKVD, as the Soviet secret police was called at the time. It's interesting that his former Manchu servant was now taking him for interrogations. Now, there was the Soviet colonel investigator, and he interrogated the Japanese. He himself had a Mongolian appearance, like he was from that part of Asia, Mongolia, China, and so forth. Yamaguchi was suspected of espionage and demanded that he disclose details of covert operations, but the karate master was silent. When he was tortured, he endured these tortures with fortitude, and when the colonel threatened to shoot him, Gogan Yamaguchi expressed readiness for death. Unexpectedly, this led the Soviet investigator to admire, and he even called Gogan Yamaguchi a real samurai. Yamaguchi was transferred from the prison to the prison forced labor camp, where he stayed until 1947. According to one account, the camp was located in the USSR-allied Mongolia. Here, the Japanese were forced to carry sand and bricks, forced labor. The food was poor. The administration treated the prisoners quite cruelly. Yamaguchi kept to himself in the camp. He found time to train every day. Standing in the far corner of the labor camp yard, the master performed slow movement or breathing exercises with a loud exhalation. Sometimes he agreed to entertain the guards with a karate demonstration. At the same time, Yamaguchi's position remained anti-Soviet. He grouped prisoners around himself and stopped any attempts to cooperate with the labor camp authorities. The administration decided to break Gogan Yamaguchi, as his independent behavior irritated the guards. At first, they tried to prevent the karate practitioner from sleeping. When Gogan Yamaguchi fell asleep, he was woken up. But thanks to the exercises, the master felt cheerful. He also endured imprisonment in the punishment cell for several weeks. Then the guards moved on to beatings. But Gogan Yamaguchi put himself into a trance and did not feel pain. Finally, the authorities had a monstrous plan. A cage with a middle-aged male tiger was brought to the labor camp by truck. The animal was not fed for 3 days after they brought him to the camp. Now, after this period passed, Gogan Yamaguchi was brought to the cage and stripped naked. He had to fight the tiger. Pushing away 2 guards, the karate practitioner himself entered the cage. The striped beast retreated into a corner and, sitting on its hind legs, prepared for jump. If Gogan Yamaguchi was confused or tried to enter a trance, the tiger would tear him apart. However, the karate practitioner's reaction was swift. The Japanese himself growled like a tiger and rushed to attack. Some sources claim that the tiger died from a blow to the bridge of the nose, which corresponds to one of the basic principles of karate, iken hisatsu, kill with 1 blow. Another account says that that Gogan Yamaguchi kicked the tiger in the nose and then with his elbow in the ear. The stunned and disoriented predator did not have time to recover as the man jumped on its back and squeezed the tiger's neck. While carrying out the strangulation, Gogan Yamaguchi screamed into the tiger's ear. 20 seconds later, the beast died. The Soviet guards in front of whom the battle took place were very scared. They decided the Yamaguchi had taken the power of the predator. Soon after, the prisoner of war was released and returned home. On November 18, 1947, Gogan Yamaguchi arrived in Japan. Well, it should be borne in mind that the personality of Gogan Yamaguchi is excessively mythologized by his followers. My information is mainly from the Russian sources. Well, before his death, Yamaguchi was awarded by the Emperor of Japan in 1968 the Ranju Hoso, a medal with a blue ribbon of the 5th Order of Merit, for his enormous contribution to the spread of Japanese martial arts around the world. For many years, he was listed in the Guinness Book of Records for his rank and achievements. Gogan Yamaguchi was also widely known in the karate-do world as the Cat, because he was a very small man, just over 5 feet and only about 160 pounds. So 1.52 meters tall and 73 kilograms. However, he gave the impression of a huge volume and aura, resembling a samurai. According to Western sources, it was the American journalist first dubbed him the Cat for his gliding gait and flowing hair. He alone was mainly responsible for the spread of Goju-ryu around the world today, thanks to which hundreds of thousands of practitioners have undergone some form of training within the framework of traditional and non-traditional karate dojo. This is what I wanted to let you know. I'm impressed, of course, with his abilities, but if you study the extent of martial arts and the control that some of the masters exercise, I think definitely there is something of the what we can call supernatural, even in the Yamaguchi's lifespan. But I think it's the control of the mind, of the body, which comes from with hard training. But also the philosophies, the Eastern philosophies add definitely something to it, and I will delve into it later. This is what I wanted to let you know today as I tell you about the mysteries of the Far East. Stay tuned for more videos. If you like my work, please support me through the links you'll find in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel and tell others. Thank you.